Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. We're bringing you another episode of Forgotten Stints, the series where we explore overlooked and underrated footballing spells that have just somehow slipped through the cracks of memory. Today we're going to be looking at one of the most high-profile strikers of the early 2000s in Samuel Eto'o, and specifically his spell at Italy at Inter Milan. So to set the scene for how we got here, Eto'o had just come off a season where he had scored 36 goals. He was one of the main pillars that led to Barcelona's treble in the 08-09 season. Overall at Barcelona, he had scored 130 goals in 199 games. But unfortunately, he and Pep Guardiola famously didn't get along. And this is part of the reason that led to a swap deal between him and Zlatan Ibrahimović. And that swap sent Zlatan over to Barca, and he came over to Inter to work with Jose Mourinho. While at Inter, specifically that first season, Eto'o was not immediately made the focal point, and that role went to Diego Milito, the clinical Argentine striker. So while Eto'o was one of the most prolific nines in Europe, he was pushed out into the right wing. Now, this wasn't a decision that was made for vanity, but more so for tactical reasons. Mourinho had asked Eto'o to be a lot more defensive in terms of his play style, so he would do more tracking back, doubling up, pressing, and he was basically an elite goal scorer that was asked to play like a defensive winger. However, Eto'o was able to adapt in that situation. He scored crucial goals in the knockout rounds of the Champions League against Chelsea, as well as scoring in the final against Bayern Munich, and he had capped off the season scoring 16 goals and getting 7 assists in 48 matches. Now, I know you're probably thinking, right, this season is very well known, and Eto'o is very well known for playing at Inter and the role that he has to sacrifice in order to get them that treble. However, the season I'm really interested in talking about is the second one. Less than a week after completing the treble, Mourinho had left the club and joined Real Madrid. And in a week and a half later, Rafa Benitez joined and became the next coach for the team. Now, what was interesting about this is that Rafa was willing to continue with the attacking system that Mourinho had already incorporated in terms of having Eto'o play on the wings. But Milito had endured an injury-ridden season, which allowed Eto'o to become the main attacking focal point once again. If there's one thing Eto'o knows how to do, it's play on the shoulders of defenders. Because you can see here in this clip, he's holding off and he's waiting for the right time to make his run. You can see what's going on with his teammates. You can see he has his head up. And right when he decides to make that run, you can see that the Bayern defender tries to hold the line. But at this point, Eto'o's already committed to making that run, and he's able to get that pass off. Now, it probably looks a little bit suspect in terms of the offside call, I'm not going to lie, but it works. The goal counts. And as you can see here, he gets the touch. He completely evades the defenders. He doesn't even stop for the ball. He just takes it first time, and he's able to put it in the back of the net. This is obviously something that he's always been elite at doing, given his pace and his speed and his agility. Now, at this point, he's already 30 years old, so he's not quite as fast as he used to be. You can already see that off-ball IQ hasn't left him. And as you can see here, too, he's no drug ball. He's not going to be the type of player that's going to hold off a center back on his own. As you can see here, he's kind of struggling. He's being pushed back, but he's still able to keep retention of the ball, which is all you can really ask for him to do. So he's still kind of occupying those, different responsibilities as the main guy, dropping deep and linking up play. Another thing that was incredibly underrated about this season was, his playmaking as well. He got a lot of assists this year as well. And a lot of his assists would come in different packages. One of the main ways he would get assists would be through, spotting kind of the deep runs of his teammates. And in particular, his midfielders. As you can see here, he drops deep a little bit. He spots the run on one of the Inter players. He does a beautifully weighted ball. He was able to get that ball beyond the defender and pretty much sets the ball on the plate for the Inter player, Pandev in this case, to pick his spot and score the goal. This assist here is, another example of what I'm talking about in terms of, really spotting the play. I want you to pay attention to Zanetti, even though I know the camera is a bit zoomed. He spots his run. He makes that pass all the way from the middle towards the outside fullback in Zanetti. And obviously Zanetti does an incredible job himself of being able to take that shot off from that angle. But again, that happens because of the vision of Eto'o to find, runners in behind. He also had a bit of gravity in terms of, really getting defenders' attention. You can see here in this clip, they're so scared of the threat of him shooting. You see 1, 2, 3 defenders have their complete attention on him. You see he does a nice little roulette here, is able to kind of take that defender out of the play. And he spots the run of Pandev. And I do not know why this defender is so far back. He keeps everyone on side. He's able to get that pass through the defenders over here. And he creates a great opportunity for Pandev to score, which he doesn't end up doing. He ends up passing it to his teammate, and his teammate ends up scoring, so he technically doesn't get the assist for it. But that play completely happens because of Eto'o's, again, vision and playmaking. Now, in terms of goal scoring, Eto'o could give you like a variety of finishes, whether it's outside the foot with his right. He would always kind of exaggerate his windups before he would shoot in terms of how far he would stretch his leg back. A lot of his shots were tend to be low driven, so they would kind of go on the ground, but it would still have a lot of power and venom in them, and he was incredibly clinical. Now, what was insane was in this season, he started off the year scoring 15 goals in his first 13 matches, which is literally just a goal behind the goal tally he had for the previous season. By early November, the guy was already at 17 goals for the season. And what was honestly truly impressive about this season is just how clutch he was as well. The guy scored 2 goals and 2 assists against Tottenham in the group stage, got a goal and 2 assists against Bayern in the second leg to get them through the round of 16, scored in the final of the FIFA Club World Cup as well. He also scored in the Super Cup final against Roma, as well as the Italian Cup against Palermo. So not only was this guy getting a lot of goals, he was incredibly clutch as well. Another thing that's incredibly underrated about this season was that statistically, the guy was the second best dribbler in the league, according to Who Scored. So you're getting a guy that's giving you so much production all around, and doing this while he was pretty much, I don't want to say ostracized, but kind of forced to be pigeonholed into a role player role this previous season is genuinely insane. To put it short, the guy in his second year at Inter was nothing short of sensational. 53 games, he put up 37 goals, had 16 assists, so you're looking at a goal contribution every single game. Particularly in the league, he scored the 3rd most goals with 21, had the 4th most assists with 9, and completed the 2nd most dribbles per game. The guy was everywhere. He did everything. He was incredibly clutch, like I said earlier. And it's kind of crazy how overlooked this particular year is. In conclusion, I think the reason why this year is kind of forgotten in the pantheon of great seasons is, one, because of the fact that they won the treble the season prior and they didn't win the league this year. The fact that he's had all of this prior history at Barcelona, and that's obviously going to take more precedence over what he was doing at Inter Milan. And ultimately, I think just the fact that he left so soon meant that the Inter fans didn't have a time to really enjoy what more he could have built upon the next season, because he was only 30 years old. But that's going to do it for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Comment down below what players you want me to do next and what particular stints you thought was underrated from them. And most importantly of all, remember to have a good day.